You ever hear about the Kurt Cobain theory? So there's a theory that Kurt Cobain didn't actually commit, but was actually by his wife.
Oh, by his wife?
By his wife.
I thought it was a...
That's what the news said, and that's what it's been deemed as.
Today we're looking at famous celebrity autopsy and conspiracy TikToks that will make you rethink your life. Thank you to all the channel members for support. These are the winners of last week's riddle. Congrats to you guys. Do what this guy says and like the video unless they will come to your house. What is always in front of you but cannot be seen? If you know, put it down in the comments. And as y'all guys know, these videos do get crazy, so watch at your own risk and also remember to subscribe. Let's go!
Autopsy. Today we're talking about XXXTentacion, who was shot and killed in a robbery on June 18th, 2018. At the time of his passing, he weighed 126 pounds, was 68 inches tall, and he was shot 3 times. First shot was to the top of his left shoulder. It was centered 27 centimeters from the top of his head. This shot perforated his left lung, his left trap muscle, his ascending aorta, and a portion of his throat. Next shot was to the left side of his upper back / neck, and it was centered 24 centimeters from the top of his head. This one also perforated his left trap muscle and his left pleural cavity, which is where it stopped. Final shot was to his neck. It was located in the left lateral midline of his neck and located 17 centimeters from the top of his head. This shot entered and perforated his left scapulae and scalene muscles, a portion of his spine, and his left posterior rib. As for his brain, kidneys, pancreas, lungs, and liver, they were all labeled as unremarkable. No drugs were found in the blood they took from his chest or in his pee. The COD was labeled as multiple shot wounds, and it was a homicide. Here are the 3 men behind it. This is unfortunately another story of a life gone too soon.
Dude, I literally remember being like 14 or something at the time, and I remember hearing about him dying. I was just like, there's no way. I feel like he was the first rapper, not including Biggie and Tupac and all that, in the modern age that really like died tragically. He was the one that started it, and like a bunch of artists after him started to fall. Very sad and tragic moment. And he was only 20 years old, so that's crazy.
Famous autopsies. From June 22nd to June 24th of 2002, WWE star Chris Benoit would take the lives of his wife, his son, then himself. Found wearing a pair of red, white, and blue swim trunks with a pair of socks and tennis shoes on. On his left hand, on his ring finger, is a yellow metal band. Trigger warning, after this point we'll get into some touchier subjects. So yeah, was a single, tight-looped 70-inch piece of black rope. It was then slipped through a carabiner with a heavy ball on the other end. After taking off the rope, they found a 1/2 inch groove all the way around his neck. His eyes were very red throughout from all the hemorrhages. His heart was enlarged and his kidneys showed no signs of stones, but medullary congestion. Gallbladder was normal. There was a bit of green bile inside of it. Spleen was pretty normal. His lungs were moderately congested, and his liver was enlarged with some blood inside. Blood found but at therapeutic levels, and in his pee there was elevated levels of testosterone from an outside source. These murders drew intense media criticism regarding brain injuries, substance abuse, and long-term health of athletes, with most contributing the multiple concussions and all the brain damage he sustained throughout his wrestling career to these crimes.
Look how familiar that face is. Now I'm finna tell you who it really is, because it's not Jesus. His name is Cesare Borgia.
Hello my friends, so that is completely incorrect. So this conspiracy theory presents this idea that the depictions of Jesus that we're all familiar with are actually based on Cesare Borgia, who was a patron of Leonardo da Vinci. Did Leonardo da Vinci ever draw Cesare? Yes, we have one confirmed illustration, and this is it. As you can see, not very much like the depictions of Jesus we're used to. The tradition of depicting Jesus as a European-appearing man with a beard and long brown hair actually goes back centuries to the Romans. This is a 4th century depiction from the Roman Catacombs, and this is shortly after from the 5th century. People gotta stop dragging Da Vinci into all these conspiracy theories, man. Let my man rest in peace.
Somehow fell down the disturbing rabbit hole that is the Bob Ross theory. This theory is not for the faint of heart. It is also just completely a theory, completely not factual, all allegations. But it is super weird to think about. So the theory goes, Bob Ross was secretly a serial unaliver, and all of his landscape portraits, his happy little accidents, were the different places that he hid the people that are not around anymore due to him. And this theory came from the fact that a lot of the landscapes that he painted matched up with places that remains had been found. And also the timeline of things added up. For example, one was based in the summer of 1980. He went to go to visit a friend's wedding, and then coincidentally, in the summer of 1980, they found what was left of somebody hidden, not only in the location that he was in that summer, to a T was found in the exact location that he painted, in the exact landscape that he painted. There are several others. You are welcome to do your own deep dive. Like I said, none of this is fact, but coincidences are coincidences, and sometimes it just makes you wonder.
It is wild that no one is talking about what happened at Meta last week. A former top executive turned whistleblower just testified in front of Congress claiming that Facebook actively worked with the Chinese government, sharing sensitive information with them and even helping them with censorship. Allegedly, also Zuck could gain access to the Chinese market. Sarah Wynne Williams, who is a former global public policy director at Facebook, claimed that while she worked there, they created a top secret initiative called Project Aldrin. You see, for years, Zuckerberg has been very open about wanting access to China's 1.4 billion users. And at one point, he even learned Mandarin to get into their good favor.
在 Facebook， 我们会有一个大春节晚会。
But according to Sarah, he's done a lot more than just learn Chinese. She testified saying, I saw Meta executives repeatedly undermine US national security and betray American values. They provided briefings to the Chinese Communist Party on sensitive technology, including AI, with an explicit goal being to help China outcompete American companies. She claimed that they even gave them access to American users' data. Now, Meta denied all of these claims, calling her testimony divorced from reality and riddled with false claims. But despite this, they have gone very out of their way to silence her. Senator Josh Hawley said they have threatened her with $50,000 in punitive damages every time she mentions Facebook in public. And Meta went as far as winning an emergency ruling, which blocked her from promoting or distributing a book that she wrote about her time at the company. The question is, have we been too busy focusing on TikTok to notice Meta cutting deals with China? Or is this just a disgruntled former employee exaggerating claims?
In my head, it's like, dude, that is crazy. And whole time the US is like, oh my god, TikTok with their data and the CCP. Whole time Instagram and Meta and Facebook is doing the literal same thing. That's crazy. If that's true, that is insane, dude. That is insane.
You ever hear about the Kurt Cobain theory? So there's a theory that Kurt Cobain didn't actually commit, but was actually by his wife. Oh, by his wife? By his wife. I thought it was a... That's what the news said, and that's what it's been deemed as. He committed... There was no foul play, right? Well, I don't know if you know, but Kurt Cobain, he wrote a letter before he... In his letter, the first 3 lines were in a different handwriting than the last. And the rest of it is the actual part, and it's written in a smaller handwriting, and it doesn't even look like the same handwriting itself. Also, when they found his body, the autopsy said in his system, he took 9 times the regular amount. He wouldn't be able to lift the shotgun and shoot it. There was rumors Kurt Cobain was ready to leave his wife, Courtney Love, ready to dip out of the relationship. If he left her, he would have all of the rights to his music, and she would be left with no riches, no nothing. But if Kurt Cobain, since they're married, she would get all of the assets. Apparently, there's this guy that came out, he said he was approached by Courtney Love at a bar and wanted him to Kurt Cobain, but he couldn't do it. Said he could not do it. Courtney Love hired a private investigator. This is the first time in history the private investigator thinks the person that hired him was the... But realistically, if nobody's pressing charges against her, or nobody's like pushing to fight that case, then what's really gonna happen? Nothing.
I'm not gonna lie, I would not doubt that, because I've seen so many videos nowadays, women trying to kill their really rich husbands just so they can get like a lot of their assets. Like there was this story of this woman literally dumping bleach in her husband's coffee making device. I don't know what they call those because I don't really drink coffee like that. And she only did it just because she just wanted his assets. Crazy world we live in, guys.
Crazy historical coincidences that cannot be explained. In 1893, a man named Henry Ziegland broke up with his girlfriend at the time, who then died by... Her brother tried to kill Henry by shooting at him, but he missed, and the bullet got stuck in a tree. 20 years later, Henry Ziegland decided to cut down the tree. When it fell, the bullet was dislodged and flew out, which struck him, killing him on the exact spot where he had been shot at 20 years earlier. On August 6, 1945, a Japanese man named Tsutomu Yamaguchi was in Hiroshima for a work trip when the first atomic bomb was dropped. Despite severe burns and injuries, he managed to escape the city and return home to Nagasaki the next day. 3 days later, while on his way to work, the second atomic bomb was dropped, this time in his own city. Miraculously, he survived again and went on to live up until his death in 2010. In 1912, a woman named Violet Jessup was aboard the Titanic when it sank after hitting an iceberg. Luckily, she survived. A few years later, in 1916, she was on the Britannic when it struck a mine and sank again. She survived. Lastly, she was on board the Olympic, which collided with another ship, and yet she survived again, and is known as the only person to have survived 3 separate disasters at sea.
Those have got to be some of the luckiest people of all time. Like, what?
I saw a video of a guy. He goes to cemeteries, he finds rituals and hexes, and he kind of gets rid of them. He destroys them. And in one of them, he finds this bottle. I think it's like filled with coffee grains. He pulls it out, and it's a bunch of pictures of family members wrapped around with meat. How like that means like they want the family to die and and get sick and stuff.
This is giving me goosebumps.
Esto sí huele feo.
Está envuelto en carne, familia. Este trabajo es carne con ajo, sal en grano. Las personas que están envueltas en este pedazo de carne. Por lo que veo es una familia.
And it's not just 1, 2, 3. It's like a lot, bro. Low key, the whole family, bro.
¿Qué culpa tienen los niños, hijo?
Look, even kids.
Qué pinche gente tan más culera.
Look. Oh, watch, you gonna see. Bro, that's legit. And that's not the only video that he does. There's a couple videos of him finding a bunch of different rituals, hexes being done in the cemeteries.
What the fuck?
Let me know if you guys believe in this shit. I kind of believe in it. Only because I've heard so many stories of people experiencing this shit, and
the real truth, you better wake up and find out, has been around you all of your life. You just didn't see it. Example, Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. John Kennedy was elected to Congress 1946. Abe Lincoln was elected president in 1860. John Kennedy was elected president 1960. The names Lincoln and Kennedy both contain 7 letters. Both presidents were particularly concerned with civil rights. Both of the presidents' wives lost children while living in the White House. Both presidents were shot on a Friday in the head. President Lincoln's secretary was named Miss Kennedy. Kennedy's secretary was named Miss Lincoln. Both were assassinated by Southerners. Both were succeeded by Southerners. Andrew Johnson, who succeeded Lincoln, was born in 1808. Lyndon Johnson, who succeeded Kennedy, was born in 1908. John Wilkes Booth, who assassinated Lincoln, was born in 1839. Lee Harvey Oswald, who assassinated Kennedy, in 1939. Both assassins were known by 3 names: John Wilkes Booth, Lee Harvey Oswald. Both names are comprised of 15 letters. President Lincoln was shot in a theater named Ford. Kennedy was shot in a car named Lincoln, made by Ford. John Wilkes Booth ran to a theater and was caught in a warehouse. Oswald ran from a warehouse and was caught in a theater. Booth and Oswald were both assassinated before they could go to trial. And a week before Lincoln was shot, he was in Monroe, Maryland. A week before Kennedy was shot, he was with Marilyn Monroe.
That kind of gave me chills. Like, the coincidences were too off the charts. I don't know who would have set that up, though, because there's no way the government could just literally set all that up and it be exactly. Maybe it was just God's plan at the end of the day, because that is insane, dude. Let me know what you guys think about that, because that one's a little bit mind-blowing.
Put a tack on her chair as a joke, and when she sat down, it pierced her skin. She let out a yell before laughing at the prank. But a few days later, she began to feel sick. You see, the tack actually had bacteria on it, which entered her bloodstream through the wound. The infection quickly spread, causing severe blood poisoning. Doctors did everything they could, but unfortunately, she didn't make it.
Imagine being trapped in the Paris catacombs to the point where you pretty much reach the gates of hell. This is Scarlett, and she gets her ex-boyfriend and a camera crew to follow her into the catacombs looking for the Philosopher's Stone to grant eternal life, which I think eternal life is kind of overrated. But anyways, that's not the point. So they first book a little tour of the catacombs, but realize that they're not going to find the Philosopher's Stone this way, so they decide to go through the uncharted regions, which is illegal. But that doesn't stop them. They find a group of people who will take them through this, and there's one guy who kind of knows the catacombs, so they start to follow him. The further they go, the more and more it becomes a claustrophobic nightmare, because if you know anything about the catacombs, it's literally a maze down there. Reach a certain point where that the illegal tour guide says that if you pass this point, it's a point of no return. Closures and roadblocks cause them to take the path of the damned. They have no other choice at this point if they want to get out. After solving some riddles and such, they reach the stone after all that they were looking for, and then they start walking, and they notice that they're now walking in an inverted version of everything they just went through. Except now this one consists of burning cars, things like this and this, so all these demons just messing with their heads. At this, they come across two messages, which translate to, abandon all hope, ye who enter, and another that's the title of the movie, As Above, So Below. You should check it out. It's pretty claustrophobic, pretty creepy, pretty scary, but it's a good one.
Nicki Minaj will never win a Grammy because she pissed off the white male Grammy producers, and they blacklisted her from ever receiving the biggest award in music.
The Grammys is everything, and to a music artist, it's what you live for. I know eventually in my career, I'm gonna have Grammys.
The 2012 Grammys were the most watched ceremony this decade, and Nicki did all the promos and commercials for it, but then the day of the show, they told Nicki she cannot perform anymore.
Grammy goes to...
They thought her performance would be too controversial. Whitney Houston died the day before, so they wanted the show to have a PG vibe, but Nicki went against them and performed anyway to give the fans what she promised, and they were pissed.
After I did everything they asked, they came the day of the show and told me not to perform. And I said, no, I'm gonna perform, of course. And I didn't understand the power that that man had to start to completely blackball me for the rest of my career, but that's exactly what happened. But I do think it's sad because they try to portray it as if it's about talent when it's not. It's about people actually network for the Grammys.
The Grammys brainwashed us into thinking for years that the Grammys are about what? Talent.
One of the former Grammy CEOs, Deborah Dugan, even confirmed that the award show is rigged for artists to network and have business affiliations with Grammy chairmen.
Is the awards process corrupt? It's rigged. I was in the room and I did see that happen.
I'm going to show you what the Grammys have to say about the theory that they blackballed Nicki, but before I do, make sure you follow so you finally know the craziest conspiracy theories about each of these celebrities and request you want to see next. The Grammys have seemingly assured us that they didn't blackball Nicki, but in the same breath said that they are going to change the way they decide winners to be more transparent, aka less corrupt. Yet still, they didn't recognize one of the biggest hits of the year for any nomination.
You guys remember when Kanye said this, then disappeared?
Not taking the responsibility as a man. That's why I say the song Closed on Sunday is the hardest record ever made, as hard as the NWA record, because it's talking about protecting your kids from the indoctrination of the media, the thousands and thousands of images that are fed to children by the age of 6 or 7. And within those images, there are images mixed in that we don't know about as parents that are purposely mixed in to lower the kids' superpower and esteem so that they can be more susceptible to consumption and feel that they need to consume and become a part of the robotic numeric system that controls so much of the media. I just had to say it like this. You can rewind it and then do research what I'm talking about.
The Twitter rants he's been going on is insane. I remember this one interview he did with this dude known as DJ Academics. He came out in an all-black KKK suit. I was like, I mean, it's probably something that we don't know that he knows that, because I feel like there's no way he's not like trolling to a sense, because the things he's saying are so outlandish. I'm just like, bro, you have to be trolling to say the things that you're saying. Like, you have to be joking.
That was a real thing that happened. Somebody unexpectedly launched a surface-to-air missile and hit the UFO. It fell to Earth not far away and exploded by flaring up with an extremely bright light. At that very instant, 23 soldiers who had watched the phenomenon turned into stone poles. Only 2 soldiers who stood in the shade and were less exposed to the luminous explosion survived. Remains of the UFO and the petrified soldiers were transferred to a secret scientific research institution near Moscow. Specialists assume that a source of energy that is still unknown to Earthlings instantly changed the structure of the soldiers' living organisms, having transformed it into a substance whose molecular composition is no different from that of limestone. This is an extremely menacing case. The aliens possess such weapons and technology that go beyond all our assumptions. They can stand up for themselves if attacked.
Famous autopsies just 6 days after his 21st birthday, Juice WRLD would fatally OD. Chicago police arrived to Midway Airport to assist federal authorities with a private jet that is landed at around 1:30 that's said to contain a large quantity of narcotics. It ended up being Juice WRLD's plane, and it contained 41 bags of weed and like 6 bottles of liquid codeine. We were all in the lobby when Juice started seizing, and blood that was the consistency of coffee grounds was coming from his face. He was throwing up this blood that, like I said, was the consistency of coffee grounds. And here are all of the things that they tried to do to save his life. Obviously, it did not work. There's a list of all the substances that were in his body, like caffeine, oxys, hydros, codeine, promethazine, naloxone. He was a heavy user. He rapped about this, and people around him said the same. He recently went to the doctor before this happened for heart and chest pains, and a sign of internal bleeding is when that you have like the blood that's consistency of coffee grounds. That's a good sign that you have internal bleeding. His body was really starting to feel the effects of long-term use, as your body can only take so much. His COD was labeled as codeine and oxycodone toxicity. Addiction is such a scary disease, so don't ever be scared to ask for help, seek help, any of the above.
He was another artist that was really young. Apparently he died at 21 years old from an OD, and that's crazy, dude. And like he was saying with the coffee grounds thing, apparently coffee grounds happens if you have internal bleeding and some of the blood partially digests, and when you throw that up, it looks like coffee grounds. It's actually crazy.
Top 7 Worst Bottled Water Brands to Avoid in the USA, Part 1. Number 7, Deer Park, marketed as 100% natural spring water. Tests revealed it contains PFAS chemicals, which are linked to cancer and hormone disruption. Though legal, even low amounts raise health concerns over time. Number 6, Fiji Water. Despite its luxury image, it's been found to contain high levels of microplastics. Critics also point to its huge carbon footprint and the fact that many Fijians still lack access to clean water locally. Number 5, Crystal Geyser. This brand pleaded guilty to illegally dumping arsenic waste from its filtration process. It's also been flagged for microplastic contamination and misleading purity claims on the label. Number 4, Aquafina. Made from filtered tap water, Aquafina was forced to add that to its label in 2007. It's known for bland taste, misleading branding, and contains microplastics like many other bottled waters today.
Last week, the country that started the Industrial Revolution announced that they would be closing down their last remaining factory that can make steel from scratch, effectively ending a 265-year era. The UK was also about to become the only G7 nation without primary steelmaking. But then, just yesterday, something crazy happened. For only the 6th time since World War II, the British government called an emergency Saturday meeting to pass a law that would prevent British Steel from closing down. But here's why that's so wild. Because 1, British Steel is not British. It's Chinese. And 2, British Steel wanted to close down that factory because it was losing them £700,000 a day. So the UK government has now got this impossible decision to make. Either let it close down and risk national security, huge job losses, and be forced to rely on other countries for critical industries like defense or infrastructure. Or the other option is to take control of British Steel and absorb those losses of close to £1 million a day, a cost that is paid with by taxpayer money. And after much debate, they decided that the cost of doing nothing and letting the factory close down would be much higher in the long run. So, lawmakers passed an emergency rescue. But here's the risky part. There's no guarantee that the government can turn the operation around. If demand doesn't improve or cost doesn't fall, it could literally become a bottomless money pit. And lastly, the law that they passed gives the government operation, but not even ownership of British Steel. The only other large-scale steelmaker in the UK is Tata Steel, and they are owned by India. So the question is, can the British government turn this situation around, or are they cooked?
You ever wondered why babies come out crying? This is one of the most disturbing conspiracy theories, so if you're alone, don't watch this. Some people say it's because they're adjusting to the world, but others have a darker story. Some say that babies come out crying because they remember something, but not about this life, about their past life. There's a theory that babies are aware before birth. They are aware of who they are or who they used to be. Their names, everything. Even how they passed away and what they did wrong. And during those few seconds of rebirth, they know that they're gonna come live again and maybe have another chance. Or maybe a punishment. And as they grow, the memories fade away, and they completely forget little by little about what they really were. Their visions disappear, and that's why they call it growing up. But maybe, just maybe, they were trying to warn us. But the real question is, what do you guys think about why babies cry while they're being born? Do you believe this theory to be real, or is it just something made up? Like I said, everyone has their opinions, but what do you think?
Scientists say the reason why babies cry is because, like, in the Stone Age days, if babies didn't cry, they would end up getting lost or something like that. So, like, it kind of get built in over time for babies to cry, so they get more attention from their parents. That theory is quite interesting, though. I don't necessarily see it as a fact, but I could definitely see it as, like, a decent theory. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comments.
The darkest conspiracy theories. The Hollow Earth Theory. The Hollow Earth Theory is a captivating concept that suggests the Earth is not solid but rather hollow, with openings at the poles leading to a mysterious inner realm. Proponents of this theory believe that within the Earth's core exists a hidden civilization, possibly more advanced than our own. They argue that ancient cultures like the Mayans and Egyptians possessed knowledge of this inner world, as depicted in their intricate artworks and texts. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Hollow Earth theory is the idea of a central sun. Instead of our familiar sun, supporters propose that a miniature sun exists at the center of the Earth, providing light and warmth to the inner inhabitants. Evidence cited for this theory includes anomalous compass readings near the poles, strange seismic activity, and alleged sightings of UFOs entering and exiting the Earth through polar openings. Some even speculate that mythical lands like Atlantis and Shambhala might be located within the Hollow Earth, serving as sanctuaries for advanced civilizations throughout history.
Imagine being savagely attacked by 2 adult chimps, because that is exactly what happened to 62-year-old St. James and 61-year-old LaDonna Davis. So this is St. James and this is LaDonna, and on March 3rd of 2005, they hop in their car to go to the Animal Haven near Bakersfield, California, which is where their son Mo is. And Mo isn't a human, this is their son Mo. They had raised Mo like their son, letting him sleep in the bed with them, dressing him up, as you see here, throwing parties for him. He was full on an animal, but they treated him like a human. Mo had lived with them for nearly 30 years, but he attacked one of the guests and bit off her thumb at their house, so he was forced to go to the Haven. After this, the couple visited him at the ranch as much as possible, and on this particular day, they were there to celebrate his 39th birthday. Mo wasn't the only animal there, and all the animals at this time were supposedly locked up. LaDonna goes in, and she's setting up a little party thing. She's fixing up a picnic table, and she's getting ready to cut the cake for Mo when 2 adult chimps just rush her. Escape their cages, and they jump on her, biting her thumb off, and she's trying to fight them off, but a human is no match for 2 adult chimps. It'd be hard enough fighting 1, but 2 of them, no match. So her husband comes rushing in, he hears the screams, and he kind of puts himself between her and the 2 chimps. After this, they just go savage on St. James. One goes high, one goes low. The one up high, like, takes its finger and his eyeball out, bites off his whole nose, does the same thing to his lips, and takes his mouth and starts St. James' teeth out with its teeth. His eyebrow off, and then they pretty much grab him by the ear and the skin off, and it's just left dangling half of his face. One down low is literally his booty off. It's chewing into his thighs, his abdomen, his man parts, all of it. It also eats 8 of his 10 fingers and his toes. Relative of the owner of the Haven hears the commotion, rushes in, shoots both chimps till they are. St. James is rushed to the hospital. He undergoes dozens of surgeries and 6 months in the hospital, but survives. You can see him here, and then here's LaDonna. She also survived and just lost a finger. I believe that what caused the other chimps to attack was their jealousy for all the attention Mo was getting, and he was getting cake, and they weren't, and that caused them to lash out and go crazy. Mo was moved to another facility after this and ended up escaping in 2008 and has never been seen again. After this, LaDonna did an interview where she said she misses Mo more than ever and that she hopes he's making good choices wherever he is.
Scariest conspiracy theories in the world that will seriously change your life. So this right here shows all the conspiracy theories from the most well-known ones that we all know to the darkest of the dark. This series we're going to be going from the most well-known ones to the darkest of the dark, which will probably keep you up all night. Having to do the research into all of these is probably going to disturb the hell out of me, but you know, I'm doing it for you guys, so make sure you hit that follow button. Part 1, let's go. Today we're going to be talking about Area 51, but not how you think. Trust me, this is wild. This guy right here is Bob Lazar. Now, he used to work at Area 51. Now, Area 51 is, of course, one of the biggest conspiracy theories out there. What is it? Why can't we go near there? Is it just a military base? Bob claims he used to work there, reverse engineering alien craft. Now, this right here is his actual drawing of an alien craft. Yeah, crazy, right? This is where it gets mental. Absolutely mental. I think Area 51 is this place, right? According to Bob, this is not where all the crazy stuff happened. It's actually down the road here, in a place called Area S4. Area S4 is located up in the mountains, completely top secret, and nobody knows really what it is until Bob came out about it. Bob claims he would be taken to Area S4, which is an underground facility where he would work on the alien craft. Put the coordinates into Google and look at this place, it's just crazy. The road which leads straight up to it, the road ends right there, and then there's just like holes in the ground. So there is definitely something there. What I'm saying is all from Bob. There is literally a documentary about this. I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix, you may have seen it. Yeah. Let me know what you think, because this is crazy. The series is about to get a whole lot crazier, so make sure you hit that follow button. I'll see you in the next one.
Like I've been saying for a long time now, the Bob Lazar stories are always interesting to me, because it's like there's a lot of people like Edward Snowden that literally exposed the NSA for tapping into our phones without our knowledge, and he had to go to Russia. But Bob Lazar is out here telling us about aliens, his top secret information about Area 51, and he's just chilling. How?
Invisible string theory. The universe will keep two people apart until the timing is right. You'll meet in the most random of circumstances, only to find out that they were hidden in plain sight the whole time. There's a video that was released, right? And it was trending, it was going viral and stuff. Let me see.
So it's like a 5-minute video of Britney at this festival. It's so blurry and badly shot from '96 that you can't really make out any faces, which makes this video even more bizarre.
Watch.
There's Britney. All right, get ready for this. Ready? Britney. Me. What? It's not even possible.
What the f? So they were in each other's lives since they were kids, bro. And that's the whole invisible string theory, that the universe or whatever, a higher power is saving this person for you, but they have to be in your life eventually, bro. They're gonna be in the background the whole time. Think about it, bro. They never knew each other.
Yeah.
He didn't even acknowledge her, bro.
Beautiful. Are we considered part of the invisible string theory?
Low key, bro. We so happened to go to fucking aerobics.
And then we got separated.
Worked at McDonald's. And now we're doing YouTube, bro. It's like it was a part of life, bro. It was supposed to happen that way.
Let us know your guys' person who you met in your life who makes sense with this whole invisible string.
Dude, that is so beautiful. If any of you guys ever had an experience like this, send this video to that person.
People who live streamed their passings, part 1. Here we have 19-year-old Ocean, who was from France, and she worked at a retirement home. On May 10th of 2016, she would go live on what would be her last Periscope of her life. She'd start this live in her apartment, talking about how depressed she was and how she couldn't really find the energy to get out of bed. She'd also go on to talk about her ex and how bad of a person he was and how that he had abused her. Even with all this, she'd be picked on and made fun of in the comments throughout the whole live. During this live, she would warn her younger viewers and tell them to sign off, as she had something very big planned as her way to send a message, but like I said, nobody was really taking her too seriously. Eventually, she'd end up leaving her apartment and heading over to Egley train station, where she would sadly throw herself right into a train, and this train would hit her, and unfortunately, she would not survive. This would all be captured on live, and the next thing you'd see would be one of the first responders attempting to end the live stream, and he would actually do that at around 4:30.
This is just horrifying. In 2011, Daniel Bartlett, who was 14 years old at the time, ran out of his burning house with his younger brother and dog. They waited for the emergency services to arrive, and when the police questioned Daniel, he told them that someone had broken into the house and harmed his mother and then set the house on fire. But after this initial statement, Daniel told the police the very disturbing and sickening truth. He said that he crept into his mother's room at night with a claw hammer in his hand. He then stood over his own mother while she slept, and as he looked down on her, he raised the hammer and hit her in the head 7 times. And after he was done, he poured gasoline around her bedroom and then set the house on fire. The disturbing thing is, Daniel's mother was only identified through her dental records, and as the police searched the house, they found the hammer used in the attack in Daniel's bedroom. They also found a document on his computer where he written a story featuring a character with his name. Another disturbing part about this case was that a popular TV show in the UK called Coronation Street had recently showed a story where one of the characters murdered a woman with a hammer, and the storyline in the TV show resembled a striking resemblance of what Daniel had done. The police also found TV clips of the scene from the episode of Coronation Street, along with other violent scenes from the popular TV films on Daniel's computer. The media then gave Daniel the nickname the Coronation Street Killer. Daniel's stepfather had also spoken about Daniel's behavior before the awful incident took place, and he said that he had plastic boxes full of Star Wars and Doctor Who figures, and Daniel would just urinate in the boxes. Daniel also defecated all over his bedroom, and what's strange is Daniel was raised by his mother in a very stable home, and by all accounts, Daniel was a normal young boy. The family had moved to a different area in 2009, and that's the year he began to become more reclusive, spending most of his time in his bedroom playing video games and watching horror films. His stepfather blamed the video games and the horror films on why Daniel murdered, but I don't believe that at all. Daniel said that he killed his mother because of an argument that they had, and she called him a freak. But with no evidence of abuse in the home, the motive is still unclear. Daniel was found guilty of murder. This whole case is just sad, especially because everyone that knew Daniel's mother said that she lived for her children and was a warm, loving mother.
Are they trying to hide the fact that the Earth could be hollow? This is easily one of the most plausible conspiracy theories of all time, because we've discovered systems that stretch for miles and miles and miles and have their own ecosystem. There's a whole world beneath us and they might be keeping it a secret. Why, you might ask? Because they would have to rewrite all of our history. There's possibly species that they have claimed went extinct millions of years ago that are still around under these pockets of Earth. In 1947, Admiral Richard Byrd, a decorated naval officer, claims to have flown through a massive hole in Antarctica, and what he saw was mind-blowing. He described a beautiful, lush land filled with giant creatures and super advanced beings, all living in the hollow Earth, according to top-secret documents. A lot of people believe this is being covered up and the government classified his diary and other documents. Could this be explained why Antarctica is a no-fly zone and you can't go there? I mean, this theory to me is not that far-fetched. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. As always, thank you for watching. Until next time, and stay weird.
Let's talk more of the worst things someone's confessed to before passing. This brings us to Jeffrey Gafford and the murder of 20-year-old Lynette White. So on Valentine's Day of 1988, Lynette's body is found inside of her flat, and she had been stabbed 69 times. Witnesses described seeing a white dude in his mid-30s with dark hair frantically leaving the scene. He was in the vicinity of her James Street flat, and they said that he even had blood on his clothing. Even with this, in November of 1990, 3 men are arrested, charged, and sentenced to life in prison, but by 1992, they're released in what the court called unsafe, and they quashed it. This also led to many people speaking out about it and calling it an injustice, but after this, the case went cold. So by now it's January of 2002, and DNA testing's come a long way since then, and so they are able to create a reliable DNA profile from the blood found at Lynette's flat. This gives him a partial match to a 14-year-old boy who wasn't even born at the time of the murder, so that rules him out, and then it leads them into the direction of Jeffrey Gafford. Jeffrey was a security guard at his family's shop nearby where Lynette was found. By now, Jeffrey realizes the police are hot on his tail, so he takes a bunch of pills to try and off himself, but police bust in and he's rushed to the hospital. So by now, Jeffrey thinks he's a goner, so he turns to the officers on the way to the hospital and says, "For the record, I murdered Lynette White. I have waited for this moment for 15 years. Jeffrey ends up surviving this, and while in court, he confesses that he went over to Lynette's flat to get it on with her, which he paid her for, and when he saw the state of her flat and how messy it was, he wanted his money back. She refused. They sent him into a frenzy where he both her wrists, stabbed her in the throat, and stabbed her in the arms, chest, torso. He's prosecuted and pleads guilty on July 4th, and he's ordered to serve a minimum of 13 years, and sadly, he was granted his day release in January of 2023, which is pretty scary.
Which beach in Florida do you think is the most dangerous? Number 10, Miramar Beach, Florida. Dangerous rip currents. Number 9, Melbourne Beach, 19 shark attacks. Number 8, in the Atlantic Beach, sharks and deadly rip currents. Number 7, Ponce Inlet, 34 shark bites, horrifying. Number 6, Ormond Beach, lots of rip current accidents. Number 5, Cocoa Beach, 26 shark attacks, no kidding. Number 4, Miami Beach, 124 storms threatening, and the top 3 will send chills down your spine. Number 3, Daytona Beach, 18 shark attacks, 44 lives lost. Number 2, Panama City Beach, 32 didn't survive the rip currents. Number 1, New Smyrna Beach, shark capital, with 185 bites. Be careful at these beaches if you're planning a coastal trip.
Honestly, I should make a video visiting those beaches. If y'all didn't know, I actually have a video coming out where I visit one of Florida's most dangerous Everglades. I'm working on it right now. Hopefully I can get it out by Friday or even the weekend, or if not, at latest sometime next week. Make sure to check that video out. But I don't know, bro, like shark attacks are kind of scary. That's crazy, because when I went to Florida, I've been to like many of those beaches that he listed, so that's crazy. I mean, I didn't get into the water because, you know what I'm saying, I didn't need to like really do all that, but it's crazy to see them on that list.
Thank you all for watching this here video. Please like and subscribe.